Chapter 33-37. There's nothing wrong with thinking more, Jiang Xian said. Professor Pei, you're right. Although this world is beautiful, I don't wish for more of my kind to be born. Why? Before each of our kind is born, many of our kind may have died, and we don't know how much pain they have to go through. Little Tian, although we yearn for the beauty of this world and like to live in peace, I have to say that our birth was a tragedy, said Jiang Xian. Jiang Xian said, if little Tian hadn't come to this world, I might have already ceased to exist. Jiang Xian wasn't a fool. On the contrary, he was very smart. After more than half a year, he had realized what this world was like and what human beings were like. At the beginning, he couldn't have won against Gao Feng. If he had disregarded everything and only wanted to destroy, he might have been able to do something. But from the beginning, he had never wanted to destroy this place. It wasn't this world that couldn't tolerate them, but some of the people living in this world. System, dear host, although he's right, I still think that he's a little silly. Dear host, I suspect that this is his scheme. He's deliberately making himself silly so that he can seek your protection and win your sympathy. He was really shameless. Based on that guy's character, he couldn't possibly be so silly. But now, he was acting silly so easily. Wasn't he just trying to make the host pity him? Don't you think he succeeded? Tanguo smiled faintly. He's cuter if he's a little silly. System, fine, he said nothing. Alright, this isn't a scheme. It's more like he's doing what he likes. Fine, fine, fine. As long as the host is happy, I'll quietly eat my food. Tanguo brought Jiang Xian to buy the island. It went very smoothly. That country was poor and backward. Suddenly, someone came to buy the island, which had no use for it, and was only rented to others. Of course, they were happy. They even gave Tanguo the original lease agreement. A few days later, Tanguo and Jiang Xian returned to the island with the specialties of this small country. Then, she arranged tasks for everyone on the island. Periodically, she would send a group of people to study abroad. In addition, she invited craftsmen from the surrounding small countries to start building the island. After looking at the geographical location, she asked Qi Xiao for a lot of array discs. They were all used to reinforce the entire island, in case some natural disasters happened and the entire island couldn't survive. After that, she planned to build a city above and below based on the previous laboratory. She would be able to see the white clouds above and the sea below. Because of the reinforcement of the formation, there was no need to worry about the geographical environment. Qi Xiao was an immortal. The array disk he refined could last for hundreds or even thousands of years. By that time, the clones would be almost extinct and there would be no need for this place. Perhaps, many years later, this place would be called a miracle by the later generations. They built the underground first. After all, building a house wasn't something that could be done in a day or two. He had to take it slow. At this time, Jiang Xian suggested that Tanguo establish a clone country. 2 years had already passed. The underground city was almost finished. There should be a strong formation. The craftsman's construction was also very bold. In many places, they could even see the world and the sea from the room. I'm going out to do something now. I need to make some arrangements here. The reason why I asked the craftsman not to build the city in the sky outside is to do this. Unknowingly, it was almost the day of the original owner's surgery. Of course, she couldn't replace all her body organs in a regular hospital. The medical surgery equipment was already very mature in the outside world. Ouyang Shixian couldn't wait. He wanted to bring the female lead and her to the laboratory to do the experiment. I'll go with you. Jiang Xian said immediately. Tanguo patted his head. Be good and wait here. I'll be back soon. You can't miss out on this. Chapter 33-38. 3 days later, Tang Guo returned to the original city. The puppet that had replaced her in the villa was taken in by her. As soon as she returned to this place, she clearly felt that there were more people around the villa. Even the frequency of Tang Zhou taking her out to play was relatively less. The most important thing was that she had felt that there were more people following them secretly. After she returned, the puppet gave her a pocket watch, saying that it was a gift from Ouyang Xixian for her birthday this year. As soon as the pocket watch fell into her hand, the system quickly warned that there was a bug and a tracker in the pocket watch. Host, this Ouyang Xixian is really a thief. It has been several years, but he has not let go of Tang Zhou. He is afraid that Tang Zhou will ruin it. This is Ouyang Xixian. He suspects one thing, suspects a person, and will not easily dispel his concerns. And in the past few years, Tang Zhou often took me out to play. He is a more emotional person. Ouyang Xixian should not be able to guarantee that Tang Zhou will not be soft-hearted to me. When the time comes, he will not have the heart to see me die and let me go. Tang Guo chuckled. How would he know? Tang Zhou has been talking about leaving every day for the past few years. His mouth is already sore from all the talking, but the puppets I left behind have always been silent in response. If it was another one, even if it was a real puppet, Tang Zhou might have succeeded in persuading it. Ouyang Xixian was determined to let the female lead try the new medical surgical equipment and perform the organ replacement surgery. For Ouyang Xixian's persistence, Tang Guo was too lazy to entangle with him. In this person's eyes, to save the female lead, he would not think about the consequences, let alone the pain of the puppet. Therefore, to entangle with Ouyang Xixian and reason with him was playing the lute to a cow. It was useless at all. From the beginning, she did not intend to use it like this. The system did not understand. It could not help but ask a doubt in its heart, Host, why did many small worlds in the past use the tactic of killing the male lead? Because people are different. Some people can use this method to abuse them, but some people will not. Ouyang Xixian is the most indifferent person. In his eyes, except for the female lead, no one can replace her. What's more, I'm already a clone created from the female lead's genes. He's a rather restrained person. He definitely won't allow himself to have any thoughts about a clone, so the pig's heart strategy won't work on him. If you want to torture Ouyang Xixian, you just have to stab his heart. The system was shocked, but the meat on the tip of his heart is the female lead. Host, you won't torture the female lead, right? To be honest, in the entire plot, the female lead didn't seem to have done anything bad. Instead, she paid for Ouyang Xixian's actions and lived a life of pain. Of course, please don't misunderstand. I'm not standing on the female lead side. I'm just analyzing it. But if you want to torture him, I have no objections. Perhaps it was because he had spoken up for too many female protagonists in many worlds, causing him to feel a little guilty. He was afraid that his host would recall those unpleasant memories. He couldn't bear to think about how stupid he had been in the past. How could he be so stupid? Which idiot created him? Stupid and inflexible. His previous existence was completely a big trouble for the host. Transmigration, female lead, calm down, no mistakes will continue to be updated on the website. There are no advertisements on the website. Please bookmark and recommend the website. Like transmigration, female lead, calm down, please bookmark, transmigration, female lead, calm down. Chapter 33-39. I didn't want to abuse the female lead. That's one thing. I don't have any grudges with her. On the contrary, she's a very good person. The system looked at Tanghua, who had a warm smile on her face and was cold and quiet. It felt a little happy. However, I think her body is very delicate, so I have to hide her for the time being. Tanghua's next sentence almost made the system spit out. It thought that the host had turned over a new leaf. I don't care what she does to Ouyang Xixin. I'm going to do something to Ouyang Xixin now, and no one can stop me. Abusing Ouyang Xixin was the main storyline in this world. System, okay. That night, Ouyang Xixin still cared about Tanghua as usual. When it was about time, he gave her a glass of milk with sleeping pills. In fact, with Tanghua's current physical condition, ordinary sleeping pills had no effect on her. After she fell asleep, Ouyang Xixin went to the study. He didn't choose to sleep. Instead, he contacted the laboratory. Before Tanghua returned, she had arranged everything in the laboratory. Jiang Axian knew that Ouyang Xixin would contact him. Because he was worried about Tanghua's safety, he stayed by the phone. This was the only special line in the laboratory that hadn't been removed. It was specially left for Ouyang Xixin. When the phone rang, Jiang Axian quickly picked it up. Of course, he used Gao Feng's old voice. Dr. Gao. Is it Mr. Ouyang? It's so late. Why are you calling? Is there something wrong with the clone? Jiang Axian imitated Gao Feng's tone and talked to Ouyang Xixin. This was because he often stayed by Gao Feng's side and learned this. Tanghua didn't tell him the specifics. She just arranged what Jiang Axian had to do. There's no problem with the clone. It's fine now. Ouyang Xixin replied, I'm calling you tonight because of the medical equipment. After thousands of uses, it has matured. I've asked many people to discuss it. It should be able to help Xiaoguo change her organs. This matter can't be done outside, so it won't cause an uproar. Ouyang Xixin put out the cigarette and continued, I think the laboratory is good. When the time comes, we will perform the surgery in the laboratory. I will arrange for someone to come over. When the time comes, I will need Dr. Gao's help to cooperate. The laboratory is indeed a good place. Once the surgery is over, it will be easier to deal with the aftermath. Jiang Axian imitated Gao Feng's tone and quickly agreed to this matter. He asked Ouyang Xixin for the specific time. Ouyang Xixin said that he would tell him in 2 days. At that time, he would arrange for someone to come over in advance and ask him to help take care of it. As for the female lead, she could only be transported to the laboratory at the very last moment. The female lead's life vessel was actually placed in Ouyang Xixin's office building. Who would have known that there was a secret room in Ouyang Xixin's office that hid such a big secret? After hanging up, Ouyang Xixin called Tang Zhou again. It's already so late, what's the matter? If you're warning me that I can't take her out to play, then I might not be able to do it. You want her life. All I can do now is to let her see more of the world. Hearing Tang Zhou's cold words, Ouyang Xixin was relieved. Thinking of his purpose, he said directly, I'm going to arrange the surgery for Xiaoguo. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Chapter 3340. What? When? Although he knew that the day was coming, Tang Zhou still didn't expect it to be so fast. He thought that since he was reborn, he should be able to change his fate. Who would have thought that the hurdle that he couldn't pass in this life was still Tanghua? He wanted to help her escape, but she had been very silent for the past 2 or 3 years and didn't communicate with him much. He could only worry on the side and couldn't do anything. So fast. Is it fast? Little Zhou, we've been waiting for almost 10 years. Do you think this speed is fast? Did you get along with that clone and you can't bear to let her die? don't you want your sister to come back to life? Ouyang Shixian, don't talk nonsense. Of course, I want my sister to wake up. I just don't agree with this cruel method. Tang Zhou felt that the biggest mistake of their family was to put his sister with Ouyang Shixian, so he couldn't do anything even if he wanted to. Whether you agree or not, it's a foregone conclusion. It won't be long before they can have the operation. Ouyang Shixian said coldly, what I mean is, take her out recently. Don't go too far. If it's too far, I won't be able to find her for a while. I might misunderstand something. Little Zhou, don't make me angry. I've been waiting for your sister to wake up for 10 years. No one can stop me. Listening to you, if you want me to stop you, you have to use some special means, or even kill me. Tang Zhou said sarcastically, similarly, if my parents stop you, will you be merciless and get rid of all these obstacles? Ouyang Shixian was silent for a minute and said, if it really comes to that point, maybe. I said that no one can stop you. You lunatic, selfish man. Have you ever considered me for my sister? I've thought about it, but more than anything, what I can't bear is losing her. Even if she hates me, I don't want to lose her. As long as she stays by my side alive, everything is fine. Tang Zhou was so angry that he laughed. Ouyang Shixian, actually, I don't think you're suitable for my sister at all. Your personalities are not suitable. You're too selfish. Being with you, tolerance, and sacrifice is only her. Okay, it's useless to say this now. From now on, you can take her out, but you can't go too far. When the date of the operation is set, don't take her to eat junk food. Tang Zhou was so angry that he hung up the phone. He didn't want to talk to Ouyang Shixian anymore. He didn't know what to say to this lunatic. The next day, Tang Zhou came to pick up Tang Guo again. Indeed, they didn't go too far. They only went to the hills around the city to take a walk and enjoy the scenery. The signal from Tang Guo's pocket watch had been blocked by the system. She could feel that Tang Zhou wanted to say something to her again. Last night, I received a call from Ouyang Shixian. He has already planned to arrange the surgery for you and my sister. You should have thought about what to do next. There are more and more people behind us. When the time comes, you may not be able to leave even if you want to. Tang Guo looked up and suddenly said to Tang Zhou with a smile, I don't know where to go. System, you're lying to the child again. There are many beautiful places in this world that are worth going to. Don't you think the scenery of the various countries that I showed you are not good? Tang Zhou said very urgently. Like to wear fast, supporting female lead, calm down, please collect, wear fast, supporting female lead, calm down. Chapter 33:41. It's good, but I can't fit in. Ever since you told me the truth, I suddenly realized that I don't fit in with this world. I used to have such a strange feeling. I always felt that my surroundings were strange. Later, when you told me, I understood that it wasn't the surroundings that were strange, but me. No matter what, isn't it good to live? Tang Zhou scratched his head in annoyance. Why are you so conflicted? In our words, being alive is better than anything else. As long as you're alive, you can always find a goal to live for. You don't have it now because your eyes can only see this small place and only see Ouyang Shixian. When you go out and see, you'll know how beautiful this world is. All his patience in his life had been fed to the dogs here. He had been nagging for 2 or 3 years, but she still hadn't found a goal to live for. This was really going to anger him to death. It doesn't matter to you whether I live or not. In fact, you don't have to care about these things. Tang Zhou, from the moment I told you the truth, I was destined to care about this. You should make a decision as soon as possible. At the last moment, I'm not sure if I can take you away. However, this time, he would think of a way to secretly take her away and settle her somewhere so that Ouyang Xixin couldn't find her. As the days passed, Tang Guo still hadn't made a decision. Tang Zhou was very anxious. Just as he was about to ask Tang Guo out and secretly take her away when she wasn't paying attention, Tang Guo actually refused to go out to play. You really don't want to come out? Tang Zhou almost pulled out a bunch of his hair. He had arranged everything with great difficulty, but she actually didn't want to go out. How could she be so stubborn? Tang Guo's lips curled into a smile. Of course, she couldn't go out at this time. She still had to go through all the procedures. If she went out, wouldn't Tang Zhou ruin it? I don't want to go out recently. I'm a little convinced. Do you know that you'll lose your life like this? Tang Zhou was about to cry. Since she chose to be the same as before, but was more difficult than before, was he, a reborn person, useless? The heavens were punishing him and wanted him to experience the pain again. But I don't want to go anywhere. System, silly boy, host is waiting to torture Ouyang Xixin. If you leave, won't you be unable to torture him? Silly and adorable. Do you still remember the method I taught you? Tang Zhou took a deep breath and said, do you practice every day? Do you feel any special power? Yes, not only did Tang Zhou think of a way to help Tang Guo escape, he also looked at many unorthodox methods to help her stimulate the powerful strength in her body. Yes, I feel that my strength has increased by a lot. Earlier, I accidentally crushed the glass and was shocked. Tang Guo felt that she had made Tang Zhou so anxious these past few days, so she decided to give him a candy to relax his mood. It wasn't bad for the female lead to have a younger brother who was so considerate towards her. Tang Zhou didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but he still said, all right, I won't ask you out for a while, but remember to practice this kind of power every day. Remember, you can't let Ouyang Xixin find out. All right. If that day comes and you can't bear the pain, then run away. Run away, call me, and I'll arrange a new place for you. Tang Zhou had already accepted his fate. In addition, you have to promise me one thing. No matter how angry you are in the future, you can hurt those who hurt you, but please don't use this kind of power to affect innocent people. In fact, he was just a selfish person. If she lived well, then her sister could live well. Chapter 33-42. After hanging up the phone, Tang Zhou didn't know what to do. He felt that the room was very stuffy, so he went to the living room. Unexpectedly, there were two people sitting in the living room. It was Father Tang and Mother Tang. Tang Zhou asked in surprise, Dad, Mom, it's so late. Why are you here? Why aren't you sleeping or turning on the lights? Why did Zhou come out? Mother Tang asked. Just now, brother-in-law talked to me on the phone and said that he would arrange the operation for sister soon. Dad, Mom, I'm not happy, so I can't sleep. I want to come out to get some fresh air. What about you? Did you know about this too? Father Tang sighed. Xixin also informed us. Your mother and I also feel a little suffocated and can't sleep. Since you can't sleep, then cancel the operation, Tang Zhou said. You've seen it in the past 2 years. She's also a living person. She's not something that can be casually taken. Doing this operation is equivalent to exchanging her life for sisters. Zhou, things have come to this point. There's no way to save it. If I could do it all over again, maybe I would have stopped Xixin from being your sister's clone from the beginning, Father Tang said. Things have started, and there's no turning back. Even if we object, it's useless. The power is not with us now. Once Xixin makes up his mind, no one can stop him. Zhou, go to sleep. Don't think too much. Mother Tang stood up. We're going back to our rooms too. The two refused to talk about this topic, and Tang Zhou didn't force them. He knew what they were thinking. They hoped that their sister would wake up, but they also felt a lot of guilt. But no matter how much guilt they felt, it couldn't be compared to letting their sister wake up. If they knew the truth behind it, would they stop it? He couldn't say these things. If he said it, the two of them would probably think that he was making up a story. A month later, the date of the operation was set. Tang Guo received news from Jiang Axian that the people arranged by Ouyang Shixian had already moved into the laboratory. The surgical equipment and sterile room were all ready. Now, she was just waiting for the female lead to be sent for the operation. It should be in 2 days. Tang Zhou called her almost every day to ask if she had figured it out. When he confirmed that she still didn't leave, he asked her how her strength training was going. He was so worried. Before she was sent to the laboratory, Father Tang and Mother Tang came to pick her up for dinner. The reason was that the family had not gathered together for a long time. Mrs. Tang had cooked a lot of delicious dishes and kept putting food on Tang Wan's plate at the dining table. Tang Zhou was more indifferent. From time to time, he would show a mocking look. They wanted her life. What could a table full of food make up for? Nothing could. After Tang Guo was sent home by Tang Zhou, Mother Tang hesitated for a moment before saying, "I'm starting to regret it." Is that useful? I didn't stop it at the beginning, but now, I can't stop it anymore. I hope that Xiao Guo doesn't know about this for the rest of his life. Otherwise, even if Xiao Guo saw this pair of parents, she would probably be scared. Tang Guo was transported to the secret laboratory overnight. Before that, Ouyang Shixian injected her with drugs to make her sleep. Of course, these drugs had no effect on her. Of course, it was Jiang Axian who was responsible for sending Tang Guo over. When he saw that she was unconscious, he was shocked and almost stared Ouyang Shixian to death. What did you inject into her? Don't you know that you can't inject anything at this time? What if it affected the surgery? This is a major surgery. Jiang Axian pretended to be serious, but in his heart, he was thinking that these people were too hateful. They dared to use needles to prick Xiao Tian. At this moment, he really wanted to punch Ouyang Shixian. It's just an ordinary anesthetic. It won't affect the body. Dr. Gao, don't worry. Ouyang Shixian didn't care about Jiang Axian's tone at all. He had interacted with doctors before, and they all had bad tempers. Leave her to me for now. I want to do a comprehensive examination on her to see if her physical condition is suitable for surgery. Ouyang Shixian didn't suspect anything. After all, Gao Feng was really good at this. There was only one chance for surgery. He couldn't let the person he liked take the risk. It was better to check more. Just like that, Jiang Axian took Tang Guo away. Xiao Tian, are you okay? Jiang Axian gently patted Tang Guo's face. At the same time, Tang Guo opened her eyes, which made Jiang Axian laugh. It's good that you're okay. What are we going to do next? Subdue the group of people outside and let them dump feces in the laboratory. The Peak. Chapter 33-43. Dr. Gao, how is it? Is there anything wrong with her body? Ouyang Shixian asked. You should understand what I mean. Are there any problems with her organs? Jiang Axian was very unhappy, but he still had to continue acting. He couldn't ruin little Tian's decision. There's nothing wrong with her body. The organs in her body are perfectly developed. It's okay to perform the operation now, Jiang Axian answered. Mr. Ouyang, are you ready? If you want the operation, arrange it as soon as possible. Okay, I'll get someone to arrange it right away. Ouyang Shixian was a little excited. He didn't say anything more to Jiang Axian and turned to leave. Seeing that Ouyang Shixian was about to leave, Jiang Axian suddenly said, Mr. Ouyang. Dr. Gao, do you have any other questions? If it's about the laboratory, we can talk about it in detail after the operation. Ouyang Shixian thought that Jiang Axian was going to talk about some new projects in the laboratory. Once there was a new project, it would definitely involve money. In this regard, Gao Feng had never disappointed him. Since there was a new project, he could definitely give him a result. However, the most important thing now was to arrange the operation. Everything else was not so important. Dr. Gao. It's like this, Mr. Ouyang. Jiang Axian continued, Tangua S1 clone is the most perfect clone in the laboratory. It can be said that she is no different from a human. She is a living human. Once all the organs in her body are removed, she will die. We don't have any conditions to let her continue to live without all her organs. Also, the operation this time is very risky. If it fails, it means that 2 lives will be sacrificed. Jiang Axian saw that the excitement on Ouyang Shixian's face had faded and said, Mr. Ouyang, you still have to be careful about this matter. He just wanted to remind Ouyang Shixian that little Tian's life was very important. Once he chose to continue the operation, he would be angry. If he was angry, the consequences would be very serious. Dr. Gao, this is not like you. A smile appeared on Ouyang Shixian's cold face. Let me guess why Dr. Gao is so concerned about this matter today. Is it because you know that Xiaogua is very important to me, so you are afraid that if the operation fails, you will vent your anger on the laboratory? The surgery won't fail. Ouyang Shixian said, I've been waiting for this day for almost 10 years. Professor Gao, there's nothing wrong with the clone. You've said it yourself. Her organs are very healthy and well developed. I believe in your ability. There won't be any problems with the surgical equipment. After all, it's already being sold in large quantities in the market. The more advanced hospitals around the world have all introduced this set of surgical equipment. There was once a case where 2 organs were replaced at once. The patient is recovering very well now. Ouyang Shixian's voice gradually became cold. According to the data, this set of equipment can basically perform the surgery perfectly. In the past 6 months, there have not been any cases of failure. Alright, I'm going to bring Xiaoguo over. You guys get ready here. I want to perform the surgery as soon as possible. Xiaoguo has been in the life vessel for a long time. She must be very anxious and wants to come out to see the outside world. Like to wear it quickly, supporting female lead, please calm down. Wear it quickly, supporting female lead, calm down. Vertex. Chapter 33-44. Jiang Axian didn't stop Ouyang Shixian. He understood one thing from the other party's words. Nothing was more important than the person he cared about. Other people's lives weren't lives. They were sacrificed for them. Jiang Axian's face was cold as he slowly walked back to the room. Under normal circumstances, Tangua should be in a coma right now, but she is currently eating in Jiang Axian's room. She felt that Jiang Axian wasn't very happy. She raised her head and asked, "Who provoked you? You don't seem very happy." Ouyang Shixian. What's wrong with him? I want to mess with him. Jiang Axian was very straightforward. He looks like he deserves a beating. His words are even worse. Xiao Tian, let Ouyang Shixian go and dump the feces. It wasn't that Jiang Axian didn't want to think of other ways to torture people. However, the clone country was only so big. The dirtiest and most tiring job was probably doing this. Moreover, with Ouyang Shixian's identity, if he really did this, it would be a humiliation to him. That's too easy for him. Tanggua ate her food. Let's wait a little longer. Haven't I arranged everything? When this is over, we'll go and save our companions in other places. We'll ignore Ouyang Shixian. Jiang Axian was interested. I've already received a lot of information. The people I sent out found many secret laboratories. Preliminary estimates show that there are at least a few thousand of our kind alive. These were all calculated from the data sent back from the base. Xiao Tian, how should we deal with the people in the laboratory who are researching clones? How do you want to deal with them? Jiang Axian said, why don't we capture them all and let them work? After all, we clones lack common sense and need humans to take care of us. Jiang Axian said with a serious face. Many clones are blank, like a baby. Tanguo was speechless. System, like a little baby. Even though he was 1.8 meters tall, he was still able to say such a thing. However, he felt that the great host would agree to this. You have the final say. Aren't you the first minister of our clone country? You can make the arrangements for these things. Originally, she wanted Jiang Axian to be the king of the clone country. However, he was very persistent and insisted that she be the queen. No matter what, I have to discuss it with you. Xiao Tian is the king of our clone nation. Jiang Axian was very stubborn about this. No matter what I do, I can't go beyond you. I have to listen to you. I can only do it with your permission. Otherwise, it will be a mess. Then if I asked you to slap yourself, would you do it? Tanggua joked. Jiang Axian asked innocently, I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I slap myself? If little Tian really wants to see it, you can just slap yourself twice. The body of a clone is very strong. Even if you use your fists, you won't be able to hurt it. Ah, Axian, you're an individual. You can't just do whatever I say. You have to live for yourself. If I told you to die, would you really agree? Although Tanggua felt that Jiang Axian was a little silly and cute, she was a little worried that he couldn't get rid of his identity as a clone and couldn't find his own direction in life. In fact, many clones would be in such a situation. Therefore, she had to set a goal for all the members of the clone country. Little Tian won't let me die. After taking off the protective shield, Jiang Axian's face was revealed. His eyes were still clear. Calm down. We're fast. Chapter 33:45. Soon, it was the day of the operation. When he couldn't practice Tanggua, Tang Zhou knew that things were about to start. He went to Ouyang Shixian's company and saw him. He wanted to ask where the operation was, but he didn't expect Ouyang Shixian to tie him up. Brother-in-law, what do you mean? Tang Zhou understood that Ouyang Shixian was afraid that he would ruin things and planned to lock him up temporarily. This had never happened before because the original him thought that the clone had left, so he did not care about this matter. Little Zhou, you are a smart person. Ouyang Shixian put out the cigarette. You stay here obediently and wait for me to bring Xiaoguo back to see you. Don't make trouble. Tang Zhou was silent for half a minute before saying, Brother-in-law, if things succeed, there may be a lot of sequelae. It will especially affect my sister and make her unhappy for the rest of her life. What should we do? There is nothing to be unhappy about. As long as she is alive, she will be happy. Ouyang Shixian waved his hand. Take him away. Xiaoguo has been waiting for me for a long time. Ouyang Shixian, you are an extremely selfish person. I have always been. As long as she can wake up, I can do anything, even if the whole world is destroyed. Unreasonable. Tang Zhou was so angry that his face turned red. Being with someone like you, my sister will never be happy. She will live a very tiring life. I will make her happy. Ouyang Shixian had already left. Tang Zhou was also locked up in the office building and watched by his people. Walking out of the office building, Ouyang Shixian met the family Tang couple again. The couple looked at each other and finally said something to Ouyang Shixian. It was Father Tang who said, "Shixian, if you are not sure, then forget about it. In fact, Xiaoguo is also fine like this. Who knows, we might be able to develop a medicine that can restore her organs to normal in the future and bring her back to life." Yes, Shixian, if it is too risky, then forget about the operation. It is really good. We are already satisfied that we can see Xiaoguo from time to time. If there is a problem, 2 people will die. Ouyang Shixian smiled and said comfortingly, "Dad, Mom, don't worry. The operation will be successful. I know you must be soft-hearted, but you have to understand that the clone was created for Xiaoguo. She had been living a good life all these years. She was happier than most people. Now, it was time for her to sacrifice herself for Xiaoguo. Go ahead and wait for my good news." The 2 of them couldn't stop Ouyang Shixian. They could only watch as he sat in the car and disappeared before their eyes. They stood there for a long time and finally sighed. They supported each other and went back. Ouyang Shixian took some people and moved the life vessel to the laboratory on the island. Life was easily put into the operating room that had been prepared at the beginning. He had also put on a sterile gown and was ready to watch from the sidelines. "Mr. Ouyang, drink a glass of water first. You can't go out before the surgery is over. It will take a long time, and your body might not be able to take it." He only drank a cup of water. Ouyang Shixian did not have any doubts and drank it directly. 20 minutes later, Tang Guo was pushed into the operating room. The life vessel where the female lead lived was also opened. Under Ouyang Shixian's eyes, the operation began. The top. Chapter 33-46. He stared at the scene in front of him without blinking. He didn't want to miss a single detail. His level of concentration was no less than that of a doctor who was using surgical equipment. The operation lasted for a day and a night. The female lead's organs were finally replaced. Ouyang Shixian was just a spectator, but he felt mentally exhausted. He wanted to immediately fall asleep. When he heard the doctor in charge of the operation give him an okay sign, he finally relaxed and sat down. The corner of his lips raised into a smile that couldn't be stopped. "Miss Tang's condition is very good now, but we need to observe for a while to see if there will be any adverse reactions later. If there are no problems after a week of observation, then it proves that all the organs are in harmony with Miss Tang's body. There won't be any big effects." "Very good," Ouyang Shixian replied. At this time, Jiang Exayan spoke again. Of course, the lines were arranged for him by Tang Guo. "Mr. Ouyang, what about the clone?" Jiang Exayan pretended to be pitiful, as if it was a pity for such an excellent clone. If little Tian didn't ask him to ask this question, he wouldn't have said such annoying words. Just hearing it made him feel disgusted. Ouyang Shixian came back to his senses and said indifferently, "How do you usually deal with it?" "Throw it into the freezer and wait for permission to destroy it." Under the protective mask was Jiang Exayan's cold face. How many of his kind were dealt with like this? Ouyang Shixian didn't care and said, "Then we'll deal with it as before. You can do whatever you want. Xiaoguo already has what she needs. The rest will be left to you." The more casual Ouyang Shixian's attitude was, the angrier Jiang Exayan became. "I just found that she still has a breath of life. She hasn't died yet. It seems like she's still alive. Jiang Axian continued to say the lines arranged for him by Tangguo. If little Tian didn't ask him to say it, he wouldn't have said such disgusting words. Her vitality seems to have reached a certain point. I think we can stay and observe for a while to see if there are any new discoveries. Since Dr. Gao has such an interest, then I'll leave it to you. Ouyang Shixian was in a very good mood. As for the funding, we'll talk about it in a few days. He thought that Jiang Axian kept saying this to ask for funding. To be fair, although Gao Feng had done a lot of things behind his back that were beneficial to him, he had also brought him a lot of benefits. There were many products in his company, and Gao Feng was one of them. Funding the laboratory was a win-win situation. Gao Feng was a smart person and knew what to do to last longer. Hence, it wasn't that he didn't know about some things. He just turned a blind eye to them. Now that Xiaogui's surgery was a success, he was in a better mood. Naturally, he could tolerate Gao Feng's thoughts. I'll let you know if there's any important news. Jiang Axian finished the last disgusting line, and the horn people hurriedly took him away. Little Tian, I've completed all the tasks you gave me. Thank you for your hard work, Axian. It's just a small matter. But little Tian, what did you do to make them believe that the surgery was over? Yes, he did not perform any surgeries for the past day and night. That day and night of surgery was just an illusion. Like wearing clothes fast, female supporting character, calm down, please collect, wearing clothes fast, female supporting character, calm down. Vertex. Chapter 33-47. In the operating room, there were only two people. One was Ouyang Shixian, and the other was him. The reason why he stayed inside was to say the lines that Tangguo arranged for him. Everything else, including the people and scenes that appeared, including the shocking surgery, was just an illusion. If he didn't know that it was an illusion, he would have thought that it was real like Ouyang Shixian. It's a special ability. There were too many things involved in this matter. Tangguo said it casually, but she didn't expect Jiang Axian to look at her as if she had expected it. Sure enough, I knew that Xiao Tian was the best clone in the world. The special ability that she awakened was always so strong. Only Xiao Tian is qualified to be the king of the clone country and is loved by all of our people. You are the only one who can protect these people. Tangguo, system, I don't know when she awakened the ability to boast. This guy's special ability is also very good. Xiao Tian, what should we do next? Tangguo pointed at the hospital gown on her body. Next, we'll have to put on a show with Ouyang Shixian and let him experience the pain of his heart being torn apart. If she directly attacked Ouyang Shixian, a crazy person like him shouldn't feel pain, right? She had already planned how to torture the other party. If she wanted to torture, she would torture the other party's heart. Axian, help me take care of that person. The medicine you gave her has to be taken little by little. Take 1/20th a day and take it separately for 20 days. She has been in a deep sleep for a long time. Too much medicine won't be good for her body. I remember. Jiang Axian was actually not very happy, and his heart was very conflicted. Without that person, there would be no little Tian. But it was because of that person that little Tian suffered so much and almost died. Fortunately, Xiao Tian was powerful and awakened a very strong power. After reminding Jiang Axian, Tangguo went to the room where the female lead was supposed to be. Yes, the role she was going to play was the female lead. After a while, the female lead slowly woke up. System, you really know how to play. But before she woke up, she asked Jiang Axian to inform Ouyang Shixian of something. What did you say? Ouyang Shixian asked in surprise. You're saying that the clone is still alive and even has new organs growing in his body. Yes. Jiang Axayan said with certainty, this discovery also makes me very excited. After doing experiments for so many years, I've never seen such a situation. Mr. Ouyang, I suspect that this clone has the ability to regenerate. More importantly, we might be able to discover the possibility of regenerating substances from the other party's body. After Jiang Axayan said this, he felt extremely displeased. Only little Tian could force him to say such disgusting words. The shock and joy on Ouyang Shixian's face made Jiang Axayan even more unhappy. This human really deserved a beating. Just bear with it. Little Tian still has important things to do. Professor Gao, just go ahead and do it. Funding won't be a problem. Ouyang Shixian had already thought about it. Once the research on regenerative matter was successful, it would be a great thing for him. Then, his company's products would really be the best in the world. As for the fact that a clone was a living being, he was sorry. In his eyes, a clone was not a human, but a tool. Jiang Axayan agreed and said that he would continue the research. However, from time to time, he would talk to Ouyang Shixian about how the clone's organs were growing again, including how the clone's face was in pain and how he was screaming Ouyang Shixian's name. He told him everything. Everything is good. She's just too noisy. Jiang Axayan continued the lines that Tanghua had arranged for him. Every day, she calls Mr. Ouyang's name. Do you want to go and take a look? Comfort her a little and maybe she'll obediently wait for the organs to grow. She seems to want to see you very much. There's no need. Ouyang Shixian laughed in a low voice. It's just a clone. Don't pay attention to her. If you think she's noisy, Professor Gao should have a way to solve it. In the future, about her situation, if it's not a regenerative substance, then don't report to me. Top point. Chapter 33-48. Although Ouyang Shixian said that there was no need to report the latest news about the clone to him, Jiang Axayan seemed to have forgotten about it. During this period, he would still inform Ouyang Shixian of some important news. Of course, the important news would often be related to the clone's daily reaction. Because the clone was soaked in the nutrient solution, it could be considered to promote the growth of the organs in the clone's body. In just a few months, Jiang Axayan told Ouyang Shixian the good news. It's all grown back. Ouyang Shixian was still very surprised. Although a lot of expensive things were used, in just a month, all the organs had completely grown back. It sounded really incredible. Is there any difference from before? So far, there is no difference. All the organs are like the first time, growing very well. Moreover, her wounds have completely healed, and the scars on her abdomen are gradually fading. According to the current situation, all the scars will disappear in less than 3 months. Jiang Axayan continued his lines. Mr. Ouyang, now we can be very sure that there is a regenerative substance in this clone's body. Not to mention completely obtaining such an ability, even a little bit of it would be a very great discovery. Ouyang Shixian of course understood that in this world, there was still no ability to remove many deep scars on the human body. Once such a regenerative substance appeared, the smallest gain would be to remove the scars on the human body. Thinking about it more broadly, perhaps some people who were disabled due to accidents might be able to regrow their body parts after using this kind of medicine that had the ability to regenerate. This was indeed a very great discovery. About the current research, are there any difficulties? Is there a lack of funds, equipment, or manpower? Now, he could give Gao Feng whatever he wanted. This experiment was really a pleasant surprise for him. He could already imagine the day when the Ouyang family would be famous all over the world many years later. There are no other difficulties at the moment. The funds that Mr. Ouyang just allocated to the laboratory are still very sufficient. There is no shortage of equipment and manpower. Jiang Axayan said methodically. I came to tell you this because I want to ask you if you want to continue the experiment. After all, her identity is a bit special. We don't dare to act rashly. Ouyang Shixian suddenly laughed. No wonder Gao Feng was so timid. He was most likely afraid that the clone was a copy of Xiaoguo, so he didn't dare to touch her. That's right. He had been too nervous about Xiaoguo. He might have scared Gao Feng. He was afraid that he would touch her and anger him. Otherwise, with Gao Feng's temper, he might have already started all kinds of research. Dr. Gao, I said that you are fully in charge of this experiment. You can just do it without worry. I will bear all the consequences. Jiang Axayan was extremely unhappy, but he still said, then, I am relieved. After all, many experiments may threaten the life of this clone's life. Because she has a regenerative substance, we have already planned to remove her organs again after a while for research. In addition, we can also dissect other parts of her body. Of course, we won't move too much at once, mainly to see where her limit is. Point. Chapter 33-49. However, all of us in the laboratory can't guarantee that she won't die halfway through because she can't hold on. After all, the human body can't lose any important organs. I have to explain the consequences to Mr. Ouyang. Okay, I understand. Dr. Gao, don't worry about it. I'll say it again. No matter what the consequences are, I won't blame you. It's an experiment. What experiment doesn't have thousands of failures in exchange for the last success? Jiang Axayan said, with Mr. Ouyang's words, I'm relieved. If there's good news, I'll inform you immediately. In addition, we'll keep the records and videos of every experiment. After all, these are very precious information. If Mr. Ouyang is interested, you can come and watch it any time. This was also the line that Xiao Tian told him to say. It was said that this line was very important. In the future, it would make Ouyang Shixian's heart break. Ouyang Shixian perfunctorily sent him away and went to the ward to see the female lead. Of course, the female lead now was Tangguo. Tangguo woke up half a month ago. Of course, after waking up, because she had a major operation and had been in a coma for nearly 10 years, it was impossible for her to talk and move like a normal person. She had to recuperate for a while. In the past few days, Tangguo had been able to speak clearly. Even her current recovery ability was much faster than the average person. Because of her physical condition, according to the doctor's analysis, it was best to let her recuperate here for 3 months. When her body recovered, and if there were any other bad conditions, she could be taken home. After all, once she left this place, if something happened, the general hospital wouldn't know her situation and wouldn't be able to help. The powerful doctors that were invited by Ouyang Shixian were also under the illusion of Tangguo. They all thought that they used the advanced medical equipment to perform an unprecedented large-scale operation. They didn't suspect anything at all. Ouyang Shixian decided to let these doctors stay on the island for 3 months. When Tangguo was completely fine, they would be sent away. Xiaoguo, are you feeling better today? Is there any discomfort? When facing the female lead, Ouyang Shixian was rarely so cold. If there's any discomfort, remember to tell me. I'm fine now, Shixian. That's good. I've asked the doctor. You need to recuperate here for 3 months. After 3 months, I'll take you home. At that time, your body would have almost fully recovered. You're recovering very well. When you go back, you'll definitely be able to give your parents a surprise. My memory is still stuck at the moment I fainted, but I still feel like I haven't seen my parents and Na Zhou for a long time. Xi, I can speak now. Can I talk to them? Tang Gua asked. Ouyang Xi was not surprised by her reaction. After all, the female lead's relationship with her family was very good. After her body slowly recovered, she would definitely miss her family. Okay, I'll call Mom and Dad now and have a video call with them. I'll tell them about your situation. How about that? Not long after, Tang Gua had a video call with her parents. Because they had communicated with each other beforehand, and because the female lead had woken up, the two of them were very happy. They temporarily suppressed the discomfort in their hearts. Vertex. Chapter 3350. After talking to Father Tang and Mother Tang, Tang Gua asked to talk to Tang Zhou. Ouyang Xixian nodded and dialed Tang Zhou's phone again. But this time, he talked to Tang Zhou first. Xiao Guo wants to talk to you. She has just recovered. The doctor said that she still needs to rest for a while. She can't come back for the time being. She can't run around or be stimulated. Don't tell Xiao Guo about your thrilling racing experience. Don't scare her. Ouyang Xixian said such a long sentence. In fact, he was just warning Tang Zhou not to talk nonsense. The operation had been done and she had woken up. If she was stimulated and something happened, none of them could bear it. Tang Zhou was still locked in the office building. When he heard Ouyang Xixian's words, there was a sarcastic smile on his lips. In fact, he was sad and desperate. After being reborn, he still couldn't stop all this. He didn't know how she was. Brother-in-law, don't worry. I just miss my sister very much. I will talk to her properly. I won't say anything that shouldn't be said. Even if he wanted to say it, he wouldn't say it now. This time, he wouldn't hide everything. Maybe if his sister knew earlier, she could still be saved. Those things wouldn't have happened in the future. Maybe for his sister's sake, Ouyang Xixian would let her go this time. He knew that the clone was still alive and would become very powerful in the future. If Ouyang Xixian hadn't awakened her feelings and got rid of her, he didn't know what would have happened. After Tang Zhou and Tang Gua talked, the two of them only talked about their daily lives. He didn't mention a word about the clone. He just cared about her body. In addition, he asked her if there were any other special reactions in her body. He remembered that his sister had told him about those memories. It should be the organ memory that made his sister know the experience of the clone, so she was especially afraid of it. He didn't know if the organ fusion had awakened her memory. But hearing his sister's words, it seemed that her memory hadn't awakened yet. Otherwise, his sister wouldn't be so calm. Tang Zhou was a little relieved. He ended the call with Tang Gua and asked to talk to Ouyang Xixian alone. What about her? Tang Zhou asked directly. Now that my sister has woken up, shouldn't you let her go? Ouyang Xixian's eyes narrowed slightly. He instantly guessed a possibility. Could it be that Tang Zhou knew that the clone had a special situation? No, it should be impossible. Tang Zhou could not predict the future. Besides, this kind of heaven-defying regenerative ability could not be known without surgery. Perhaps, Tang Zhou was asking about the clone's current situation. A clone that has lost all its organs, of course it is dead. Dead? Tang Zhou thought it was funny. How could he forget that Ouyang Xixian was not a good person? It was only because his sister liked him and he was willing to protect his sister that they had a filter on him and thought he was a good person. Is he really dead? No one can live after losing all their organs. Little Zhou, you have to remember that she was born for Xiao Guo. Now that Xiao Guo has come back to life, her mission is complete and her life is over. Now that your real sister is back, don't think about the past anymore. But I will never forget what happened in the past. Vertex. Chapter 33:51. How did you deal with her? Tang Zhou asked tentatively. Even if she is dead, you should give her a funeral, right? You can't deal with this. Give her to me, and I will help her hold a funeral. She was born without a family, and now that she is dead, I want to give her a home. She is a clone of the laboratory. The people in the laboratory will deal with it. You don't have to worry about this. Well, little Zhou, I will bring Xiaoguo back after a while. Don't ask about other things. Ouyang Shixian hung up the phone. About the clone with the ability to regenerate, of course, he couldn't mention it to Tang Zhou. This matter was still very important. In addition, he was not at ease with Tang Zhou. He was afraid that the matter of the clone would be exposed in the future. In addition, Ouyang Shixian had already arranged for people to clean up the villa inside and out. As for the existence of the clone, they must be cleaned up so that not a single trace could be found. If it weren't for the fear of being suspected, he didn't want the clone to live at home. But Xiaoguo couldn't disappear for many years and appear out of thin air. In fact, there were still many people watching him. This was done to avoid complications. In addition, it was best to keep the most important person by his side. It was not easy to lose her. In the past 2 months, Tanghua had played the role of the heroine and got along with Ouyang Shixian without any flaws. In fact, there would be no flaws. After all, her clone had all the memories of the heroine. If she didn't know that she was a clone, she might think that she was the heroine. Ouyang Shixian didn't find anything. Although he was calm on the surface, the joy in his heart couldn't be concealed. In order to accompany the heroine, he hadn't returned to the company for several months and had been working on the island. Because of Tanghua's arrangement and the illusion from time to time, it was impossible for Ouyang Shixian to find out anything. Finally, the day came when the island left. During this period, Jiang Axayan would appear from time to time and talk to Ouyang Shixian about the reaction of the clone. Occasionally, he would even invite Ouyang Shixian to observe it on the spot or show him some experimental videos. Jiang Axayan was now much more comfortable. Thinking of Ouyang Shixian's ending in the future, he was not angry. These videos were all given to Jiang Axayan by Tanghua. The videos were synthesized by the system using its own ability. With the technology of this world, there was no way to determine if it was real or fake. 3 months had passed, and several attending doctors confirmed that there was nothing wrong with Tanghua's body. Except that she would not be able to do strenuous exercise in the future, she was no different from a normal person. Ouyang Shixian decided to leave with Tanghua. Under Jiang Axayan's reluctant gaze, Tanghua left with Ouyang Shixian. Boss, the human you asked us to keep an eye on has awakened. The king has already left. Do you want to go and see that human? When Jiang Axayan heard this, his face turned even uglier. Thinking of Tanghua's arrangement, he said with a cold face, "Then let's go and take a look." How is she now? She seems to be doing well. We've already examined her. Her organs are no longer failing and are slowly recovering. According to the current rate of recovery, it won't take long. Not long after, Jiang Axayan arrived at the female lead's residence. This was a secret room specially prepared for the female lead. Jiang Axayan didn't feel anything when he saw the face that looked exactly the same. Vertex. Chapter 33:52. Excuse me, where is this? Who are you? When the female lead woke up, she found that there was something wrong with the environment she was in. And she actually came back to life. Was all of this arranged by Shi Xian? Before she fell into a coma, Shi Xian said that she was only in a temporary coma and would wake her up in the future. Did Shi Xian succeed? But why wasn't Shi Xian here? It seems that your body has recovered well. Then there is no problem. You don't need to know where this is and who I am. You just wait here for a while. When the time comes, we will let you out. We don't intend to take your life. After Jiang Axan said this, he turned and left. He really didn't have a good temper. Recently, he was almost angered to death by Ouyang Xixin. Although he couldn't blame this woman, if it weren't for this woman, Xiao Tian wouldn't have suffered so much. Intuition told him that the truth of the matter was definitely not simple. Xiao Tian seemed to hate Ouyang Xixin. If it weren't for Xiao Tian's strength, all of her organs might have been removed and she would have lost her life. Tang Guo was brought back to the villa by Ouyang Xixin, and the beautiful days of the past were restored. Father Tang and Mother Tang also adjusted their mood and didn't show anything in front of her. As for Tang Zhou, every time he appeared in front of her, Ouyang Xixin would be there. Tang Zhou didn't find any organ memory awakening in Tang Guo's body for the time being. Because he couldn't find a chance, he couldn't be alone with her. Maybe he appeared too frequently, which aroused Ouyang Xixin's vigilance. The other party also said to him directly, I have installed surveillance at home, and there is a bug in the phone. Xiao Zhou, you should understand what I mean. Don't try to do something you shouldn't do, say something you shouldn't say. I can tolerate you because you are Xiao Guo's brother. Tang Zhou especially wanted to say that when her organ memory awakened, although Ouyang Xixin didn't know the truth, he would understand that something was wrong and kill him. Although Ouyang Xixin left the island, Jiang Axan still told him about the human clone experiment from time to time. Yes, some substances have been extracted. Currently, it is being analyzed. It should take another month to get the results. Jiang Axan leaned against the corridor and did not wear any protective mask. After all, this was not a laboratory, but the underground city of Clone Nation. After Ouyang Xixin left with Tang Guo, Clone Country began to build the city above. Gao Feng passed by Jiang Axan with 2 toilets in his hands. When he heard the other party talking about human cloning experiments and extraction of materials, he was so angry that his mouth almost went crooked. He wanted to shout, but before he could do so, Jiang Axan grabbed his throat. He struggled with all his might, but he couldn't resist the power of the clone. Professor Gao, what's wrong? Jiang Axan glanced at the red-faced Gao Feng and said, a disobedient clone actually wanted to run away. Fortunately, we reacted quickly and caught him. Just now, he was yelling that he would be fine after an injection. Gao Feng's eyes widened. He did not understand at all. Why did the clones learn to lie so quickly? A month later, Jiang Axan gave Ouyang Xixin the latest results, which was the scar repair solution mentioned in the plot. A year later, the medicine was on the market. In the same year, Jiang Axan gave him another result. Ouyang Xixin was overjoyed and quickly asked someone to apply for a patent, preparing to produce such a medicine on a large scale. The top. Chapter 3353. This new drug was not about removing scars, but about repairing damaged organs in the human body. As long as the damage was not too great, it could be repaired. It could even conquer some slightly cancerous organs. However, he did not plan to go on the market immediately. He decided to wait for a while and think of a shocking plan. It was also because this substance was very rare and needed to be continuously extracted from the clone. Of course, the truth was not like this. These drugs were all obtained by Tang Guo from Emmanuel. In order to deceive Ouyang Xixin, she had worked very hard. One day, when Ouyang Shixian came home and had dinner with Tanghua, he suddenly found that she was wearing a very beautiful hair clip on her head. It was the kind of beautiful rhinestone hair clip that was shining. Shixian, what's wrong? Ouyang Shixian stared at the hair clip on Tanghua's head. After a moment of silence, he asked, I remember that you didn't like this kind of hair clip before. Compared to the rhinestone type, you should like the velvet hair clip very much. Oh, is that so? Tanghua quickly said, I just suddenly like it. This kind of rhinestone hair clip is actually very beautiful. So many years have passed, and your hobbies have slowly changed. Ouyang Shixian smiled and said, that's right. However, he still felt that something was wrong. He began to carefully observe Tanghua and found that she also had a rhinestone bracelet on her wrist. The earrings were also replaced with diamond earrings. However, he clearly remembered that Xiaoguo did not like this kind of jewelry with rhinestones or diamonds. Even their wedding ring was a custom-made jade ring, not a diamond ring that the public thought was good. She liked velvet, pearls, and all kinds of beautiful jade, but she did not like diamonds. It should be said that she did not like the kind of jewelry that looked shiny under the light. However, perhaps it was just as she said. Hobbies could change. It was just that once a person had doubts in his heart, he would pay special attention to any details. From this day on, Ouyang Shixian paid special attention to Tanghua's every move. Perhaps it was because he had noticed something about the rhinestone hair clip during dinner that day. After that, Tanghua didn't show any different interests from before. However, Ouyang Shixian was a suspicious person. If he had suspicions in his heart, he would never let go of any details. Perhaps you thought that he had dispelled all his suspicions, but in fact, he just looked like he didn't care about these things. He was waiting for you to reveal a flaw. However, Ouyang Shixian did not know that all of Tanghua's flaws were deliberately exposed to him. She wanted to reveal a flaw so that he would have a chance to see it. The diamond hairpin had planted a doubt in Ouyang Shixian's heart. Later on, when there were some small details, Ouyang Shixian would be able to guess the truth. This was much more interesting than telling the truth directly. It was said that this was the mentality of a cat catching a mouse. It didn't want to eat the mouse, but it wanted to play with the mouse to death. Tanghua was so patient, but there was one person who was not so patient. Of course, it was Jiang Xayan, who stayed on the island. Almost every few days, he would tell him about the clone. Every time he talked about the results, he couldn't help but talk about the clone's reaction. Mr. Ouyang, the clone is still very noisy. He has been calling your name. The summit. Chapter 3354. Do you want to come over and take a look at the situation? Maybe she has something to say to you. Ouyang Shixian was obviously a little impatient on the phone. Didn't Dr. Gao say that she was no longer noisy? That's because we cut off her tongue some time ago, so she can't make noise for the time being. She's been noisy recently because her tongue has grown back. We can't cut off her tongue every time she makes a noise, right? I see that she's been clamoring to see you, and I suddenly feel that she's a little pitiful. If Mr. Ouyang is free, why don't you meet her? Maybe after you meet her, she won't make any noise anymore. Dr. Gao, you should solve these matters yourself. There are many ways to shut her up. To meet a clone. Was he crazy? Xiaoguo had recovered, and he didn't need that clone anymore. The clone was clamoring to see him, most likely because she had Xiaoguo's memories. Dr. Gao, you should have a way, such as making her forget certain things. After all, it was Gao Feng who had transferred Xiaoguo's memories into the clone's mind. It's possible, but it's a little troublesome. Also, this is the most successful clone. I don't want to erase her memories for the time being. In fact, other than calling Mr. Ouyang's name miserably every day in despair, everything else is fine. I just want her to be more obedient, but Mr. Ouyang really doesn't want to see her. There's no other way. We can only endure it. Perhaps it's really Miss Tang's memories that caused this to her. After all, Miss Tang loves Mr. Ouyang very much. This clone has such a reaction again. Ouyang Shixian ignored the discomfort in his heart and asked about the organ repair fluid. He mainly asked if there were any problems with the clone's regenerative ability. Mr. Ouyang, please don't worry about this. This clone is stronger than expected. So far, we haven't found any decline in her regenerative ability. After any part of the body is cut off, as long as there is enough nutrient solution, it can completely grow back in 1 to 3 months. Every drop of her blood can be refined into a large amount of the substances we need. It's completely enough. However, the global market is so big, and there is only one such special clone. For the sake of safety, I suggest that we limit the supply. After all, I still can't guarantee how long this clone's regenerative ability can last. This was because after analysis, the substance in this clone could not be artificially synthesized. It could only be extracted from her body. A single drop of blood was enough to grow 100,000 scar repair fluids. However, an organ repair fluid required a lot more. After the two hung up the phone, Ouyang Shixian did not care about the clone. However, he suddenly felt that there was another person in the room. When he looked up, he realized that it was Tang Guo. Xiao Guo, when did you arrive? Ouyang Shixian was still a little nervous. Looking back, he didn't seem to have said anything particularly important. His heart relaxed a little. When he turned around, he felt that something was wrong. He remembered that he should have locked the door before. However, even if Tang Guo had the key to this study, the door should have made a sound when it was opened, which would definitely alarm him. Vertex. Chapter 3355. Therefore, he wasn't sure if he had remembered it wrongly. Perhaps, he remembered it wrong. If the door was closed, how could she come in? There would be some noise. Only if the door was not locked could she sneak in when he was not paying attention. Looking at the fruit plate in Tang Guo's hand, Ouyang Shixian was completely convinced. It was just that the strangeness in his heart could not be removed. Shixian, I brought you some fruit. Are you still busy with the company's affairs so late? Don't be too tired. Eat some fruit first, then wash and go to bed. Ouyang Shixian smiled and nodded. Okay, don't worry, it's just a small matter. I just heard you say something to shut her up. What's going on? Tang Guo asked and successfully saw the panic in Ouyang Shixian's eyes, but it disappeared in an instant. There is some trouble in the company. Recently, the company developed a new drug. Someone is not satisfied and wants to do something from it. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. I can solve it. Everything is ready. That's good. I thought something happened. Under Ouyang Shixian's worry, Tang Guo did not ask much. Although he did not say anything just now, some of his words were indeed suspicious. He had a particularly subtle feeling in his heart that Xiao Guo did not intend to continue to ask, as if she really believed his words. His answer just now was very perfunctory. Xiao Guo was a smart woman. Why didn't she continue to ask? Did she know something, but she did not want to destroy the relationship between them, so she did not intend to ask, or was she silently observing, waiting for him to show any flaws? Tang Guo saw that Ouyang Shixian was silently thinking, and her heart was full of sneers. This man was really interesting, and he was too imaginative. In the following days, Ouyang Shixian was obviously more careful in doing things. He even forgot to observe if there was anything wrong with Tangua. Although the days seemed to be very calm, he still felt that something was wrong. It was too wrong. Why didn't Xiaogua ask anything? She seemed to believe him. This was not like Xiaogua's character at all. According to her personality, she would not tolerate him lying at all. They had once said not to lie to each other. Originally, he had only planned to lie to her. It was just that he didn't know how many times he had lied. However, she didn't have any doubts at all. He originally thought that she was observing silently in the dark, but recently, he suddenly realized that she did what she was supposed to do every day. From that day onwards, she never asked him about the company again. Even if she occasionally bumped into him on the phone and heard some things that were not easy to explain, she did not ask too much. This kind of strangeness made Ouyang Shixian particularly flustered. Ouyang Shixian, who was too flustered, decided to find someone to observe Tangua. Mr. Ouyang, this is. I think there's something wrong with my wife recently. Help me find out what she's doing during the day. Don't miss any details. In the end, Ouyang Shixian paid a high price to hire a private investigator. Although he had arranged bodyguards for Tangua, they would accompany her wherever she went. However, bodyguards couldn't always keep an eye on Tangua's every move, especially the small details of her life. Therefore, a private detective was the best choice. Vertex. Chapter 3356. He also thought about installing surveillance cameras or something, but if he was discovered, it would easily cause misunderstandings. Besides, Tangua was not at home all day. She would go out. It would be very troublesome to look at the surveillance records and filter out useful information. Private detectives were different. As long as Tangua was outside, they could observe each other's every move. Tangua knew that Ouyang Shixian had hired a private detective to observe her. Of course, she would not let him down. She would reveal a little bit every day. The female lead's different preferences gave Ouyang Shixian a headache. This morning, Madame went out to the water bar and sat for a while. She ordered a glass of lemon juice and then sat there playing with her phone. After drinking the lemon juice. You said she ordered a glass of lemon juice. Ouyang Shixian interrupted the private detective. Are you sure? Yes, I was sitting next to Madame. I saw with my own eyes that she ordered lemon juice. On the top of the glass, there was a piece of lemon as a decoration. The private detective added, in fact, I also like lemon juice. I didn't expect Madame to have good taste and go to my favorite store. Anything else? Ouyang Shixian felt that the private detective was talking a lot of nonsense, but he did not say anything. His mind was full of thoughts. Why did Xiaogua suddenly like lemon juice? He clearly remembered that she did not like this kind of sour fruit drink at all. She did not like any food with a bit of sour taste. She liked sweet food and did not feel that sweet food was greasy at all, so why would she order lemon juice? Ouyang Shixian noted this down and planned to ask Tangua about it when he went home. The private detective said other things. There was nothing special for the time being. Ouyang Shixian sent him away and let him continue to observe. In the evening, on the way home, Ouyang Shixian suddenly remembered about the lemon juice. He stopped halfway and bought a glass of lemon juice to bring back. Whether her taste had changed or not, he would know later. He did not know what to prove by bringing back a glass of lemon juice. Shixian, so early today. Ouyang Shixian looked at Tangua, who ran out and could not help but smile in his heart. However, when he thought of the recent strange things, the smile slowly disappeared from his face. I wanted to come back and see you earlier. Ouyang Shixian handed the lemon juice to Tangua. I passed by a beverage store and remembered that we went to those places together. I brought you a glass. It looks good. Tanggua held the lemon juice. In Ouyang Shixian's opinion, if she drank it, her taste might really change. After all, life was long, and some preferences could really change slowly. For example, he loved to eat onions when he was young. Now, he couldn't smell onions at all. He always felt that it was very unpleasant. So far, although Ouyang Shixian had doubts and felt that there was something wrong with Tanggua, he did not think of anything else. However, Tanggua liked to break other people's hopes the most. Shixian, are you getting old and your memory is getting worse? Have you forgotten that I don't like lemon juice? I don't like to eat anything with a little bit of sourness. Looking at Ouyang Shixian's blank face, Tanggua continued, you really forgot this important thing. You forgot that I don't like sourness. I only like sweetness. Forget it. I'll forgive you this time. After all, for you, we have been separated for many years. The peak. Chapter 3357. You can drink this glass of lemon juice by yourself. Tanggua stuffed the lemon juice into Ouyang Shixian's hand. If you make a mistake, you have to take responsibility for it. Drink it quickly. It's shameful to waste food. Drink it and come to eat. Auntie has already cooked the food. It's your favorite. Tanggua took Ouyang Shixian's briefcase and turned into the house. There was a happy smile on her lips. Abuse? The abuse was still coming, Ouyang Shixian. When you don't care about other people's lives, and even let the clone lie in the cold laboratory and endure the body parts being cut again and again, just to satisfy all your selfish desires, everything today is doomed. Ouyang Shixian stood stiffly at the door, holding the glass of lemon juice that was a little cold in his hand. His mind was in a mess. Xiaoguo went to drink lemon juice in the morning. From the photos he saw, she should have enjoyed it very much. It seemed that she liked to drink it very much. Why did she say that she didn't like lemon juice at all and let him drink it as a punishment? If she drank it directly, he wouldn't have any doubts. He would only think that it was a change in taste. Obviously, she liked to drink it, but she tried to hide that she didn't like lemon juice at all. She also emphasized to him that she liked sweets. Why? Why was this? Ouyang Shixian felt that his brain was going to explode. What was going on? Shixian, what's wrong with you? Tanggua's voice woke Ouyang Shixian up. Ouyang Shixian looked at her blankly. Suddenly, he felt that this person was very close to him, but also very far away. Obviously, everything was the same, but there were always some details that were different. Did he miss anything? Nothing, I just remembered some things about the company. I've been busy recently and I'm a little absent-minded. Then you have to pay attention to your body. Shixian, if you're too tired, what if your body can't stand it? I'll be worried. Xiaogua, are you really not going to drink some lemon juice? Ouyang Shixian persuaded. He didn't know what purpose he had, I've tried it before. In fact, the taste is really good. Sometimes it's okay to try other drinks. He really didn't persuade people to drink such things. It should be said that he never liked such behavior. Don't. I'm very uncomfortable when I smell the sour taste. Tanggua said with a face of disgust. The system silently lit a candle for Ouyang Shixian. Of all the people he could have provoked, he had to provoke the host. He could only bear with it. Right now, Ouyang Shixian must be feeling terrible. Since Xiaogua doesn't like it. Ouyang Shixian pinched the lemon juice cup hard. If it wasn't for the quality of the cup, it might have been squashed by him, of the drink, calm. 2. Just then, the private investigator called him again with a report. Vertex. Chapter 33:58. She went to drink water again. Ouyang Shixian heard the private detective's words and asked subconsciously, did she order lemon juice again? No. Then what did she order? Ouyang Shixian's heart was very uneasy. As for why he was uneasy, he couldn't figure it out himself. He only knew that all the uneasiness came from some of the changes in Tangua's body. These details, the plan that was deliberately hidden from him, made him more and more panicked. It was as if some kind of truth was about to be revealed from these details. This feeling had been going on for some time. Ever since he found out that she was wearing the diamond hair clip, he was in this terrible feeling every day. Every night, he couldn't sleep well. Even in the middle of the night, he would wake up from time to time. She was clearly next to him, but he always felt that she was very far away. System, stupid thing, that's just an illusion. Dear host, you have no interest in sharing a bed with this kind of person, even if it's just a bed. Seeing Ouyang Shixian in panic every day, the system was a little happy. It was someone who had seen the original owner's memories. The experiences in those memories were really too miserable. Although it wasn't a human, it could imagine that kind of scene. Being placed on the laboratory table every day, letting these people cut a part of her body. Anyone would go crazy. They would imprison her freedom and make her unable to move. But more often, in order to observe her ability to endure pain, they wouldn't inject her with anesthesia. So, every knife was like a cut on her heart. It was a pain that penetrated her heart. It was more painful than being run over by a big car. Madam ordered the sour plum juice. The reason I found it strange was that Madam actually whispered to the waiter, telling them not to use the glass of sour plum juice. It's best to use some kind of transparent glass without a logo. In addition, let them bring sugar. Although the sour plum juice had sugar, overall, it was still a little sour. If there was really too much sugar, it would lose the original taste of the sour plum juice. The main thing was that she didn't add the sugar at all. Instead, she waited until she drank the sour plum juice and threw the sugar into the trash can. It was as if taking the sugar was just a decoration. As for the bodyguards, they had already been ordered by Tangua to wait outside. When Tangua went to eat something, the bodyguards couldn't always be by her side. Besides, she wasn't a big shot, so there was no need for her to do that. Are you sure? I'm very sure. I took photos. When I passed by, I placed a listening device next to her. I heard everything with my own ears. Ouyang Shixian took a deep breath. Did she do anything after that? She went to the mall. Madam seemed to like diamonds very much and kept wandering around that place. He even asked the cashier to take them out and try them out. In just a short while, he had tried more than 20 items. But in the end, they didn't buy it. And then, Madam went to the jade store and casually chose a bracelet to buy. The reason why I said casually was because Madam pointed at one of the jade bracelets and said that she wanted that. There was no joy on her face. It seems like he bought the bracelet just to complete some mission. The private detective said, Mr. Ouyang, I felt that Madam's behavior was a little strange, so I recorded it carefully. Vertex. Chapter 33:59. By the way, Madam really likes diamonds. I really don't understand why she doesn't buy them. Ouyang Shixian's mind was in a mess. She obviously liked diamonds, but after trying more than 20 pieces, she didn't buy any of them. She obviously didn't like jades so much, but she pointed at a beautiful jade bracelet and directly asked for it. How could he not be suspicious of such a difference in treatment? So, what was going on? What secrets did Xiaoguo have from him? Would a person's preferences really change so much? Continue to help me look after Madam. If there's anything unusual, send me a message immediately. Okay, Mr. Ouyang. After this time, Ouyang Shixian paid more attention to Tang Guo's every move, especially at home. He would pay attention to her preferences. Because there was nothing special at home, he would pay special attention only when eating. With this observation, he found that although she wasn't particularly picky about food, there were still some subtle differences. For example, she would like some dishes very much, and some dishes she wouldn't touch much. Some dishes she didn't like so much before, but she couldn't help but eat a few more mouthfuls. Such a change was driving Ouyang Shixian crazy. He felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't find out what was wrong. Ouyang Shixian, who was restless all day and couldn't sleep at night, even began to be distracted in the meeting, which made the people under him feel very strange. After all, Ouyang Shixian had always been very serious at work, and it was rare to see him like this. Especially Ouyang Shixian's face, which was getting worse day by day, and there was a thick blue color under his eyes, which couldn't be hidden at all. Something must have happened. Shixian, I feel that you're not very energetic recently. What's wrong? Is there a problem with the company? Tang Guo was appropriately concerned. No matter how important work is, you have to take care of your body. Ouyang Shixian stopped chewing and his eyes fell on Tang Guo. I know. Many times, he wanted to ask her why she had changed so much and what secrets she was hiding from him. But he was afraid to ask. Some truths were unacceptable. If he didn't ask, he was afraid that this uneasy state would continue, and he didn't know when it would come to an end. In the end, Ouyang Shixian decided to tell Tang Zhou about this matter. After all, they were brother and sister. Tang Zhou should know better than him what kind of person Tang Guo was. Maybe Tang Zhou knew some little secrets. You're actually so kind-hearted to take the initiative to invite me to see Big Sister. Tell me, is there something you want me to do? Tang Zhou was also very surprised. Recently, he had been inquiring about the whereabouts of the clone, but Ouyang Shixian had hidden it too well. He had never asked about these things before, so even if he wanted to investigate, he did not know where to start. On the other hand, he was also keeping an eye on his sister, afraid that the things in the past would happen again. The fact that his organs could produce memories was something that was bothering him. On the other hand, he had to ensure his own safety. Only when he was safe could he think of a way to keep the clone alive. As long as she was still alive, perhaps she could alleviate some of their sins. Recently, I've realized that there's something wrong with Xiaoguo. Ouyang Shixian said. Some of her living habits have changed, so you came to ask if she used to like these things. In addition, you can accompany her and see what's going on with her. Like to wear it quickly, supporting female lead, calm down, please collect, wear it quickly, supporting female lead, calm down. Peak. Chapter 3360. If you want to know these things, why don't you ask my sister yourself? Tang Zhou laughed. If you ask, my sister will definitely tell you. No, Ouyang Shixian shook his head with certainty. No, she won't this time. There are some things that she took the initiative to hide from me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come to you. Asking for your help is the last resort. Tang Zhou was so angry that he almost laughed. If it weren't for his sister, there would be a deep hatred between him and Ouyang Shixian. Wasn't the enmity of taking someone's life the same as killing someone? Tell me the details. You've been occupying my sister and not allowing me to see her alone. Now that you want my help, you have to make things clear, right? Tang Zhou paused. In addition, I actually want to ask you a question. That clone isn't dead, right? Brother-in-law, you don't have to deny it. I still found out something. After all, I've already retired from the competition. Now that I've taken over the Tang Corps, I'm no longer the person who doesn't know anything and only knows how to race. There are some things that you can hide from others, but you can't hide from me. Tang Zhou's smile disappeared. If she's still alive, I hope you can treat her well. Just treat it as accumulating good fortune for my sister. Don't commit any more sins. Maybe my sister's current situation is because you've committed too many sins and retribution has come to her. Wasn't organ memory like this? There were some things that science couldn't explain. You don't have to worry about these things. Let's take a look at Xiaoguo's situation first. Ouyang Xixian, I want to tell you something seriously. If she's still alive, let her go, settle her down, and let her live a good life. You've already gained enough from her. You're too greedy. One day, you'll get your retribution. Xiao Zhou, there's no point in saying this. The scar repair fluid, the organ repair fluid, the most important components of these things were extracted from her body, right? Tang Zhou acted as if he didn't hear Ouyang Xixian's warning and continued, You're too greedy. How do you know this? Ouyang Xixian was a little incredulous. These words were blurted out. Very few people knew about the laboratory and the cloning of humans. If you don't want others to know, don't do it in the first place. I know more than you do. If you really want to have a good relationship with my sister, then treat that clone better. Don't hurt her anymore. Otherwise, you will regret it one day. Ouyang Xixian didn't think there was anything wrong with Tang Zhou's words. He instantly changed the topic to Tang Guo and talked about her recent performance. After Tang Zhou finished listening, his brows furrowed deeply. This was because he had spent some time with the clone before. He knew that the clone liked shiny diamonds and sour food. Could it be that this was the awakening of the organ's memory? It seems that what I'm worried about is going to happen, Tang Zhou said. This is part of the reason why I stopped you. What is it? Organ memory. Tang Zhou still chose to say it. Sister used all of her organs, and the organs would carry the owner's own memories. Perhaps because of this, Sister's preferences changed. Sister hid it from you because she felt it was strange. According to your description, nothing more serious has happened yet. Ouyang, she had a bad premonition. Something more serious. Vertex. Chapter 3361. What's more serious is that in the future, the organ memory will become a real memory and integrate into my sister's mind. At that time, she may know everything that happened to the clone, and every time she recalls these memories, she will think that she is the one who suffered and will suffer with her. Tang Zhou coldly said this result. Even if this matter was said from the beginning, there was no way to change the result. He could only blame himself for being reborn too late. With his ability, there was no way to reverse the situation. He could only watch history repeat itself. What you said is a bit ridiculous. Ouyang Xixian did not believe it, but he somewhat believed it in his heart. However, he was a stubborn and confident person. At present, this should be the reason for my sister. If you are worried, observe more. It's best if the organ memory is not integrated into her body. After all, in this world, I don't want her to be hurt. However, since she met you, every time she was hurt, she was the one who was hurt. By the way, due to the organ memory, do you want to consider letting go of the clone? If you don't want to deal with these things, you can leave her to me. I will take her to a very safe place and arrange for someone to take care of her. I will try to make her happy in this life and no longer hurt. Every time he heard about the scar repair liquid on the market, about the big moves of Ouyang Corporation, Tang Shou's heart was cold. Thinking of what his sister had told him, what happened to the clone in the laboratory, Tang Shou broke out in a cold sweat. No wonder she later awakened her power, but her whole person was like a madman, killing everyone she saw. Because she had suffered too much, and those who brought her suffering were all humans. At that time, humans were her mortal enemies in her eyes. What could he do now? When he thought of this, he felt helpless. You don't have to worry about these things. Now is the critical time. The research on human cloning is definitely impossible to stop. After all, a large number of organ repair liquids are needed at present. Even if it is sold in limited quantities in the future, the world is so big. No matter how limited it is, it still needs a certain amount. Therefore, she can only be soaked in the nutrient solution every day to maintain her life, let her body develop quickly, and replenish energy. Only then can they extract the ingredients they need from her body and blood. Despite Tang Zhou's warning, Ouyang Shixian did not ask the laboratory to stop the research on human cloning. Besides, now that he knew that it was the organ's memory that was causing trouble, he was no longer as panicked about Tanggua's condition. When he saw that she was deliberately hiding something, he did not expose her and pretended not to know. Tang Zhou and Ouyang Shixian had a conversation. They said that Great Host's current situation might be caused by the organ's memory. Great Host, Tang Zhou seems to have stopped your plan. Now, Ouyang Shixian believes this explanation. What should I do? What should I do? Actually, this is more fun, isn't it? Since it was Tang Zhou who reminded Ouyang Shixian, then I might as well go play with Tang Zhou and let him know that I wasn't his real sister. At that time, he will probably go crazy and ask Ouyang Shixian to release him. System, host, you're too evil. Tang Zhou, this child, is really pitiful. Because of Tang Zhou's previous words, Ouyang Shixian no longer restricted him from seeing Tanggua. Therefore, although Tang Zhou couldn't take Tanggua out to play alone, he could visit Tanggua often. Since he came here often, he would naturally discover many strange things. Vertex. Chapter 3362. Sis, how have you been recently? Do you feel any discomfort? Tang Zhou asked carefully. According to his experience in his previous life and what his sister had said, he had already speculated that during this period of time, the organ memory should slowly awaken. During this period of time, he had also noticed that his sister was not very happy. At that time, he had not thought about this at all. He had even argued with Ouyang Shixian about it, thinking that he had made his sister unhappy. He had not expected that it was the integration of the organ memory that let his sister know the truth. No, Zhou, don't worry. My body is very good. There is no problem. Tanggua replied with a gentle smile. How is Zhou doing in the company now? I really did not expect that after waking up, Zhou had already grown up and learned how to take responsibility. You even launched a racing team and came back to help your parents manage the company. In the past, you always said that you wanted to pursue your dreams. You don't know how angry your parents were because of this. Let's not talk about the past. If you were in good health, I would not want to leave the racing industry. Racing for the rest of my life is really my dream. But now you need to be taken care of. I have to take care of trivial matters like managing the company. Tang Zhou had been waiting for Tanggua's organ memory to integrate. He had waited for several months, but the situation in the memory did not appear. This made him panic. It was a kind of unknown panic and inexplicable fear. His sister still looked like his sister. Why did he feel that something was wrong? He also asked Ouyang Shixian if Tanggua had not been sleeping well at night recently and if she was unhappy. I am mainly afraid of the organ memory. Tang Zhou's recent performance had dispelled some of Ouyang Shixian's concerns. Looking at Tang Zhou's appearance, he really did not want the organ memory to awaken. If Xiao Gui knew the truth, then he would be relieved. Recently, she has been sleeping very well. She is not unhappy. In fact, she is very happy. When she is free, she will go out shopping. But she still eats some sour things behind my back. She also tries on all the diamond jewelry in the mall. It makes me want to buy it for her directly, but I am afraid that there will be a problem. Hearing this, Tang Zhou's face did not look good. Is that so? Yes, that is all. It seems that the organ memory you mentioned will only affect her behavior. It will not really integrate the memory. If that's all, it's not a bad thing. Ouyang Shixian revealed a rare smile. Little Zhou, as long as you don't tell her, she will never know. Now I believe you because you're very worried about Xiao Gui. You probably won't tell her about this. Tang Zhou didn't listen to these words. He kept feeling that something was wrong. No, it was different from what he remembered. His behavior had changed, but his memories hadn't merged yet. No matter how he thought about it, something didn't seem right. Thinking about it carefully, it seemed that many things in this life didn't match up. What about the clone? Tang Zhou suddenly asked. Are you going to let her go? Little Zhou, you don't have to worry about these things. She's very important now. Just as Tang Zhou was about to ask something, Ouyang Shixian received a call. He was confused. Professor Gao, why are you calling at this time? Professor Gao. Was that Gao Feng? Tang Zhou's face darkened. He sat silently on the side without saying anything. However, based on a phone call, he had no way of knowing where Gao Feng was. You said she wanted to commit suicide. Ouyang Shixian was a little surprised. How is the situation now? Jiang Axian held the phone and said expressionlessly, it didn't succeed. Her self-healing ability is too strong. The wound healed automatically in one night. If you go a little later, you might not even see the wound. Seriously, little Tian actually arranged such strange lines for him. The peak. Chapter 3363. That's good. I didn't expect the self-healing ability of a clone to be so strong. Hearing this, Ouyang Shixian couldn't let the clone go. He never thought of the clone as a real human. She was just a research tool, like a white mouse. Jiang Axian continued, Mr. Ouyang, she's clamoring to see you. I don't know why she's so persistent. Dr. Gao, solve this matter yourself. I've said it many times. Ouyang Shixian hung up the phone. Tang Zhou immediately asked, what's going on? Is she the one who wants to see you? Since Tang Zhou already knew about it, Ouyang Shixian simply explained the situation to him. The more Tang Zhou listened, the more he felt something was wrong. He even suggested, why don't you go see her and see what she has to say? Maybe it's something important? Why did he feel so uneasy? Maybe you should let her go. Tang Zhou brought up the old matter again. Think about it. Tang Zhou was very anxious. Although Ouyang Shixian had simply said that the clone wanted to see Ouyang Shixian because of his sister's memory, Tang Zhou was very anxious. However, he knew more than Ouyang Shixian. Those words must have been shouted when she was in pain. Xiao Zhou, you don't have to worry about this matter. If you have time, you can spend more time with Xiaoguo. Ouyang Xixin added, however, for her own good, you should know what you can and can't say. I've told you this many times. Knowing that there was no way to persuade Ouyang Xixin, Tang Zhou finally gave up the idea. He turned around and arranged for someone to keep an eye on Ouyang Xixin's movements. Unfortunately, Ouyang Xixin was very secretive about his dealings with the laboratory. Tang Zhou couldn't find any traces at all. On the other hand, he did feel that some of Tang Guo's habits had changed a bit because some of her actions didn't match his memory. Even if she had the memory of organs, she shouldn't have liked food and accessories that she didn't like before. She would even hide it from Ouyang Xixin and do those things secretly. He didn't directly tell Ouyang Xixin about these doubts. He decided to observe it himself. After this day, whenever Tang Zhou was free, he would come to pick up Tang Guo. He often asked her to eat, watch movies, and go to places where she was young. Now that Father Tang and Mother Tang had not completely given up on the company, Tang Zhou's task was still relatively easy. The whole family believed that spending more time with Tang Guo at this time was the right thing to do. They were very supportive of Tang Zhou's decision. It had been about a month since Tang Zhou and Tang Guo went out frequently. Through the various details of Tang Guo's behavior, he was very flustered. A terrifying thought appeared in his mind. The woman in front of him was not his biological sister. However, if this was not his biological sister, then who could it be? There was nothing wrong with this body. It was impossible for Ouyang Xixin to make such an important mistake. The DNA test had been done before. In fact, it was mainly for the purpose of checking the body. It was a casual test. If the person in front of him was not his biological sister, Ouyang Xixin would have discovered it long ago. After all, no matter how much he looked, even if it was a clone, it would still be different from his biological sister. However, once this thought was born, Tang Zhou could not suppress it. Furthermore, he woke up from his dreams for several nights. Vertex. Chapter 3364. Ah Zhou. Late at night, Father Tang woke up and suddenly felt movement in the living room. There were only 3 people in the house. Mother Tang was sleeping, and the other person was most likely Tang Zhou. The main reason was that he smelled cigarettes. Although the lights were not turned on, he could imagine the smoke in the living room. Ah Zhou, why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night? Why are you sitting here smoking? Don't take care of your body just because you're young and healthy. Father Tang turned on the light. The person sitting on the sofa smoking was indeed Tang Zhou. Seeing Tang Zhou's sullen look, he walked over. What's wrong? It shouldn't be a company matter. The directors all said that you performed very well and thought highly of you. Tang Zhou was smart and capable. Father Tang was still very confident about this. Through the response over the years, many people were satisfied with Tang Zhou. It was just that this kid was capable, but he lacked ambition and fighting spirit. In popular terms, he was a bit like a Buddha. Dad, do you think there is retribution in this world? Tang Zhou put out the cigarette and leaned lazily on the sofa. He said with absent-minded eyes, Dad, I believe there is retribution in this world. If you do something bad, you will definitely get retribution. People who do bad things will definitely lose their most important thing. What exactly happened? Why are you saying such strange things? Father Tang was also a little uneasy. Suddenly, he remembered something and the smile on his face disappeared. Are you still thinking about that matter? Ah Zhou, it's over. There's no past, Tang Zhou said. She should still be alive, but now she has completely become a tool. Ouyang Shixian is not willing to let her go. Dad, I'm uneasy. I'm afraid that if I don't succeed in stopping this, it will cause serious consequences. It's just that I've used many methods, but there's no way to find out her whereabouts. Ouyang Shixian used her to achieve various goals, and now he wants to go to a higher level. Actually, Ouyang Shixian is also a greedy person. He only treats her as a tool. Since she's still alive, I want to save her. Even if something happens to sister in the future, at least there's an explanation. Tang Zhou rubbed his hair hard. Dad, no matter what, she's alive. Lying on the test bench every day and being cut up, can you ignore it and feel at ease for the rest of your life? Her existence saved my sister. Now that she's miraculously alive, why can't we let her live on peacefully? Father Tang was stunned for a long time before he asked, but she has already lost all her organs. How can she still be alive? Dad, there are many things in this world that cannot be explained. Perhaps her birth is different from ours, so she is still alive. Tang Zhou took a deep breath. I really want to save her, but I don't have a clue at all. Ouyang Shixian also sent people to watch me. Once I make a move, he will know. Even if I have some clues, it may be useless. Father Tang also lit a cigarette for himself, his brows furrowed into a frown. Tang Zhou lit another cigarette. The father and son sat on the sofa and smoked one cigarette after another. When they finished smoking the third stick, a voice rang out behind them. Ah Zhou, is she really still alive? It was Mrs. Tang. She didn't sleep as well as she thought she would. In fact, she didn't sleep well every day. Like to wear fast, supporting female lead, calm down, please collect, wear fast, supporting female lead, calm down. Vertex. Chapter 3365. Ever since her real daughter came back, although she was happy, she had been suffering day and night. She was afraid of waking up the people around her, so she pretended to be asleep. Sometimes, when she closed her eyes for the whole night, she didn't sleep much at all. Basically, she woke up as soon as she fell asleep, and after waking up, she couldn't fall asleep. She's still alive, I'm sure. If she wasn't still alive, would it be possible for the Ouyang family to grow so much in such a short time? Old Tang, why don't you think of a way to save her, arrange an identity for her, and send her abroad? Since she's still alive, we can't leave her in the lurch. Our daughter has recovered, and I don't want to do any more evil. We didn't stop the human cloning experiment because of our selfishness. Let's try it this time. Old Tang, you haven't been sleeping well all these years, have you? Mrs. Tang looked at Mr. Tang. Look at you, your hair has turned white. Who can you fool? Mr. Tang put out the cigarette. Okay, I'll arrange for someone to investigate this matter. Once we find out about her, we'll send someone to take her away. Ah Zhou, don't make any movements on your side, lest Shi Xian suspects that he won't give up on this clone. Not to mention Ouyang Shixian, if many people in this world know about her, I'm afraid they won't let her go. You should understand what this means. Dad, you know. When you were sure that she was still alive, I guessed it. What made Ouyang Shixian unwilling to let go of a clone who had lost all her organs? She's still alive after losing all her organs. Combined with what happened in the past 2 years, I guessed it. Mr. Tang patted Tang Zhou on the shoulder. During this time, you managed the company well. If you have nothing to do, go and see Xiaoguo. Leave the matter of saving her to me. Shi Xian's secret laboratory shouldn't be in the country. According to the usual style of those laboratories, it should be on the island of some small country. This matter is troublesome, but it's also not troublesome. The management outside the country is loose, especially in some small countries. As long as it's used properly and the information is accurate, the chances of saving people are still very high. Seeing that Mr. Tang was willing to intervene, Tang Zhou was temporarily relieved. Mr. Tang had been at the helm of a big company for so many years, and he still had some connections. The next day, he used the company's affairs as an excuse and went abroad. Ouyang Shixian had been keeping an eye on Tang Zhou. He had never guessed that Father Tang would make such a choice. Father Tang was indeed more capable than Tang Zhou. In less than half a month, he suspected that the clone was on the island. "Host, it's Father Tang's men. It looks like they're here to look for you. Don't worry, they won't be able to find this place anyway." Father Tang indeed did not find this place. After all, this island was hidden by an array formation. Now, only the people on the island would send things out. No one would go in. This rule was set by Ouyang Shixian because he was afraid that someone would suspect this. Father Tang's search was fruitless. He could only send people to monitor Ouyang Shixian. Meanwhile, on Tang Zhou's side, everything continued. The more he interacted with Tang Guo, the more uneasy he felt. The more he felt that this sister in front of him was unreal. He even suspected that she wasn't his sister. "Sis, do you feel uncomfortable? Have you had any strange dreams recently?" Tang Guo shook her head. "No, I ate and drank well. I slept until dawn. How could I have such a strange dream?" Tang Zhou's heart sank. No, something was wrong. Vertex. Chapter 3366. When he went shopping with Tang Guo, Tang Zhou discovered that although she ended up buying jade and velvet-type ornaments, she didn't buy any of them. But her eyes would always stay on those sparkling diamonds for a long time. Maybe she didn't realize it herself, but when she saw the diamonds, her eyes were very, very bright. This reminded Tang Zhou of something. He once brought the clone out to play, and the other party looked at the diamonds like this. In order to compensate her, he even bought her a lot of diamond-type jewelry. Later, she was taken away, and those jewelry were left in the villa. Ouyang Shixian must have asked someone to dispose of them. Regarding velvet and jade, the clone didn't like them. His sister didn't like to bask in the sun in the past. She would feel uncomfortable if she basked in the sun a little. But now, his sister enjoyed the feeling of bathing in the sun. Although his sister used to go shopping with him, eat snacks, and buy things, she was definitely not the type who liked shopping, traveling, climbing, and other activities. What his sister liked most in the past was to quietly read a book and drink a sweet drink. She especially didn't like anything with a sour taste. Now, his sister liked to go shopping. Once she went to the snack street, she couldn't stop. She liked to buy those little things. Even if she didn't buy them directly, he could feel that she was full of love and curiosity about everything outside. Now, it seemed that he hadn't seen his sister for a long time. She would hold a book, sit by the window, listen to light music, and drink a drink. In the past, his sister had always been a very quiet person. Now, even if his sister looked very quiet, in fact, as long as he observed carefully, he would find that she wasn't as quiet as he imagined. It was as if she hadn't been in this world for long, but she had always been yearning for this world and was curious about everything in this world. But for fear of being discovered, she had been restraining her temper. Why was this? His sister had changed so much. Tang Zhou suddenly widened his eyes and thought of an absolutely impossible possibility. This possibility couldn't be explained by science at all. He shouldn't have doubted it like this. However, once the sluice gate was opened, there was no way to take it back. Tang Zhou's heart was pounding. If it was really as he thought, this sister wasn't his sister, then where did his real sister go? Thinking of that terrifying possibility, Tang Zhou's eyes widened and he stumbled to the ground. Zhou, what's wrong with you? Tang Guo's voice sounded nervously, but her face was very calm. Tang Zhou couldn't see it. Because he thought of the possibility of the truth, he was so excited that his eyes turned black. Now, his whole person was in a daze. Tang Guo had to call the bodyguards who ran from afar and asked them to come over to help send Tang Zhou to the hospital. System, host, this child is too scary. The female lead is very important to him. How could he bear to suddenly guess what the person most important to him might have gone through? It's like this, it's really hard. Although this child's heart isn't bad, from the original owner's standpoint, Tang Zhou is still on the right side. Chapter 3367. Otherwise, when the host came back to settle the score, he didn't know who would suffer. He wouldn't say that he had already guessed that the host was deliberately making Tang Zhou suffer. The news of Tang Zhou's coma and being sent to the hospital alarmed everyone. Ouyang Shixian was also very surprised. He even thought that Tang Zhou had a serious illness. When he was told that he was fine, he let out a sigh of relief and went to the hospital to see Tang Zhou. However, Tang Zhou's condition gave people a feeling that something was wrong. Also, Tang Zhou wanted to talk to him alone. Filled with curiosity, Ouyang Shixian stayed in Tang Zhou's ward. Xiao Zhou, what do you want to say? How is she? Tang Zhou's face was very pale. When he thought of that possibility, he had the urge to faint. If it was really as he thought, then, how would Ouyang Shixian react? This sin, no matter what, would retribution fall on his sister? Sure enough, he was incompetent. Her. Are you still thinking about that clone? Xiao Zhou, I told you not to get involved in this matter. I have my own conclusions. Ouyang Shixian was a little impatient. If this is what you want to talk about, then I will leave first. The doctor said that there is nothing wrong with your body. You may have fainted because of a lack of oxygen. You should stay at home and not let Xiaoguo worry. Brother-in-law, let her go. As long as you let her go, I can compensate you with Tangkor. Xiao Zhou, do you know what you are talking about? Ouyang Shixian walked closer. You have been managing Tangkor for a few years. You should know what kind of impact it will have on Ouyang Kor if you give up at this time. Brother-in-law, if the person lying in the laboratory was my sister, would you still think this way? In the end, Tang Zhou still asked this question. He looked at Ouyang Shixian with a pale face. If that person was my sister, would you still make this decision and let my sister suffer? Xiao Zhou, you are indeed very sick. Xiao Gua is fine now. There is no point in you bringing up such an example. The person in the laboratory can't be your sister. You just need to answer me. If that person was your sister, at this time, would you stop all the projects? Even if Ouyang Kor went bankrupt, the impact would you stop? Little Zhou, there's no such thing as if. This kind of possibility doesn't exist. I just said, if it was my sister, would you stop? Ouyang Shixian was silent for a while and said, if it was her, there wouldn't be this project. Therefore, it will stop. Xiao Zhou, rest well. You haven't been feeling well recently, so don't bring Xiao Gua out to play. Tang Zhou did not stop him. He only watched as Ouyang Shixian left. Was this retribution? Ouyang Shi had left, but he was still worried. Tang Zhou's words had made him very uneasy. Why would he have such a strange thought? The person in the laboratory should be the clone. Xiao Zhou must have become muddle-headed from his illness. At this time, Jiang Axan called Ouyang Xixin again. Mr. Ouyang, the clone really wants to see you. She said that if she sees you once, she will cooperate with our experiment. Ouyang Xixin still did not agree and let Jiang Axan deal with it himself. In addition, he also arranged for people to keep an eye on Tang Zhou's movements. However, when Tang Zhou was discharged from the hospital, there was no big movement. Until one afternoon, Tang Zhou came to see Tang Guo again. The two of them finally went to a coffee shop. Of course, the private detective hired by Ouyang Xixin also followed. He even used some means to put a bug in. Tang Guo found out, but she did not stop him. When I came, I bought you lemon juice and brought it over. Tang Zhou pushed the lemon juice in his hand in front of Tang Guo. Drink it. It's your favorite drink. After drinking it, can you tell me why it's in my sister's body? Where did my sister go? Tang Guo held the cup of lemon juice and fell into silence. She really did not expect Tang Zhou to be so direct. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, Transmigration, Female Supporting Lead, Calm Down. Chapters will continue to be updated in the handwriting bar. There are no advertisements in the website, so please bookmark and recommend handwriting bar. Like Fast Crossing, Female Supporting Character, Calm Down. Please bookmark, Fast Crossing, Female Supporting Character, Calm Down. Peak. Chapter 3368. But now that there was an east wind, it was time to announce the truth. Ouyang Xixin would definitely know about today's matter. Tang Guo quickly finished the glass of lemon juice and complained to the system in her heart, actually, I don't like sour food either. My taste is similar to the female leads. I like sweet drinks. System, for example, ice cream. Tang Guo, host, please teach Jiang Axan when you return. Clones are all very smart. They will definitely be able to make ice cream with just a single lesson. Why don't you just enroll him in a class? When he learns how to make ice cream, he should be happy. Ah Zhou, what are you talking about? Tang Guo raised her head and looked at Tang Zhou in confusion. Am I not your sister? You want to ask where the person went? Tang Zhou stared at the glass in Tang Guo's hand and said with certainty, my sister doesn't like sour food, not even the slightest sour taste. When she was young, she ate sour food once. Just the slightest bit of sourness in her mouth made her feel like her teeth were about to fall out. But you can drink a glass of lemon juice without batting an eyelid. Ah Zhou, I don't know what's wrong with you, but a person's taste will change. I didn't like sour food before, but that doesn't mean I won't like it in the future. Tang Zhou's face was still serious. No, I've already thought it through. You definitely can't be my sister. This feeling can't be wrong. During this time, I've read a lot of books about the human mind and brain waves. Thinking about your situation, my guess is correct. Moreover, there are some strange abilities in this world. Didn't you have it before? I'm very sure that you're not my sister. Ah Zhou, I'll tell you the truth, Tang Zhou interrupted Tang Guo, I'll tell you the truth now. The reason you were able to wake up was because you used all the organs of a clone. That clone was no different from a human. It was also a living person. All of this was done by Ouyang Xixin. He once said that even if he had to sacrifice anything, he would save you, no matter the cost. Tang Zhou's gaze had been on Tang Guo's face the whole time. He found that she had a very surprised expression and said, so, you really can't be my sister. You don't have to hide it anymore. Since I'm talking to you about this, it means that I have enough confidence. You're her clone, aren't you? Because she didn't have a name, Tang Zhou didn't know how to address her. Can you tell me what's going on? Where is my sister now? I know it's our fault. Actually, before this, my father had already arranged for people to go to that small island to look for you. However, for some unknown reason, they were unable to find the location of that small island. We have also been keeping an eye on Ouyang Shixian, hoping to rescue you. My plan has always been to send you to a safe place to live the life of an ordinary person. Our family will be responsible for your life. Tang Zhou's eyes were red. In fact, he had already thought of the worst outcome. The clone who was currently suffering in the laboratory was his sister. The two of them exchanged brainwaves. How did they change? Perhaps in a moment of desperation, this clone awakened some kind of power, so they changed. Although she did it, he had no right to blame her. The Apex. Chapter 3369. She should be in the laboratory, suffering the pain of dissection. Tang Guo did not deny it. After all, she planned to announce the truth to Tang Zhou first. Her voice was low, but it was a bit strange. It's the pain I felt at the beginning. Now she is suffering every day. System, host, you are too realistic. Tang Zhou can't stand it anymore. His eyes are red. Tang Zhou's eyes were red. He clenched his fists and restrained his anger. It's us who are wrong, not her. Tang Guo raised her head. Maybe I was in too much pain at that time. I wanted to get rid of the feeling of helplessness. At that time, I had a feeling that if I kept lying there, I might lie there forever. There was no way to get rid of it in my life. In a moment of despair and helplessness, I had a very strange feeling around me, and then I was in another place. When I woke up, I found myself in another body, and it was the person you all care about. So, you, who have my sister's memory, plan to live as her, right? Because you can't bear to leave all this, and you can't bear to leave Ouyang Shixian. But, the one who wants your life is Ouyang Shixian. This person has no feelings for you. Yes, as her, you can not only live well, but also have countless people who love her. You have relatives, lovers, and a younger brother who is on her side. You can live peacefully without the pain of dissection. Although, Tang Guo had a smile on her face. Every time I accidentally overhear his conversation with the doctor in the laboratory, I still feel a little sad about his ruthlessness towards the clones. But when I think about it, the one who is suffering is not me, but the person he cares about the most. Thinking about it this way, I actually feel a special kind of joy in my heart. My sister is innocent. Tang Zhou said blankly. Now that he knew the truth, he didn't know what to say. He just wanted to go to the laboratory immediately and save her. But, if he told this to Ouyang Shixian, what would happen to the person in front of him? Ouyang Shixian should be very crazy, but because this person had his sister's body, there was no way to do anything to her. But after that, Ouyang Shixian would definitely start another research project in the laboratory. It was about human brain waves. At that time, he didn't know what would happen. Now, the more serious thing was that his sister already knew the truth. Tang Zhou's heart jumped when he remembered that Ouyang Shixian said that the clone wanted to see Ouyang Shixian. Aren't you the ones who caused all of this? You were the ones who allowed me to be born. In order to save her, you made me a tool. You let me see the beauty of this world, but you want to cruelly take away my life, and even reduce me to a tool to extract benefits. Who can stand it? Don't you humans have a saying that all humans are selfish? Isn't it normal to do bad things in order to survive? Look at Ouyang Shixian. For the people he cares about to continue living, isn't he willing to do anything? In order for his company to go global, he had been carrying out cruel experiments. Her father, mother, and you, her biological brother, even if you can't bear it, in the end, you can only endure the uneasiness in your hearts and accept everything in order for her to live. Because if the person you care about can continue to live, all you have to do is pay the price of your conscience. How easy is that? Like to wear it quickly, supporting female lead, please calm down. Wear it quickly, supporting female lead, calm down. Vertex. Chapter 3370. I said that I would protect you and let you go to a safe place. I will be responsible for the rest of your life. I remember this. Your heart is really good. I don't care who you are doing this for. I just want to tell you the truth. Do you think that with your ability, you can really send me away? Tangua asked. Now that you know the truth, instead of wasting time with me, it's better to save the people you care about. Tang Zhou had nothing to say. He looked at Tangguo for a long time. After about 20 minutes, he said, I'll send you away. When I send you to a safe place, I will let Ouyang Xixin know the truth and let my sister out. What made Tang Zhou's heart ache was that his sister had suffered so much. What made him happy was that the clone's body was strong. His sister could still continue to live, but it was impossible for her and Ouyang Xixin. As for what would happen to Ouyang Xixin, it was not in his consideration. Since you know, you go tell him the truth and save your sister. You don't have to send me away. Tangua said indifferently. She looked as if she had seen through life and death. Tang Zhou didn't know what to say. As his sister's brother, he should hate her after such a thing happened. However, he couldn't hate her. Yes, she was right. Everything started because of selfish people like them. If it wasn't for the fact that he had experienced the previous life, he might have already detested her. No matter what, I hope you can live well. I'll save my sister, and I'll send you away as well. Things have become like this and nothing can be changed. If my sister was here, she would agree with me. Tangua asked with a smile. I exchanged identities with her and made her suffer for 2 years. Anyone would hate me. How could she agree with you? She will. Believe me, she will. She won't blame you. Tang Zhou smiled bitterly. Although you don't believe it, it is the truth. She is such a person. I'll send you away. I can't wait for my sister. After I arrange for you, I will bring her out. Although Ouyang Xixin has no conscience, he is still sincere to my sister. Tang Guo looked at Tang Zhou for a while and suddenly said, then I really misunderstood her. Maybe she really is as you said. Okay, I'll cooperate with you. I'll listen to your arrangements right away. Tang Zhou heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly left the cafe with Tang Guo. Tang Guo went home to get the documents and was hurriedly picked up by Tang Zhou. While they were on their way to the airport, the private investigator was contacting Ouyang Xixin. Unfortunately, Ouyang Xixin was in an emergency meeting and did not receive his call. When the meeting was over, she was about to call the private investigator back to ask when he had called him several times. However, Jiang Xian's call came. Professor Gao, what is it this time? If something has happened to that clone, unless her life is in danger, she doesn't have to come to me. Ouyang, she said coldly, I'm busy. Mr. Ouyang, wait a minute. I have a very important matter to ask you. What is it? It's like this. We have a major discovery. As long as we do this, when the time comes to extract the ingredients we need, not only will it be more convenient, but the quantity will also increase. the summit that you're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.